Good morning, dear Moonlight Citizens. This is your man on the moon, the Moonlight King, here with the 61st episode of Moonlight Kingdom Podcast covering the Army, haircuts in the Army, haircuts in the Air Force, and various U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, U.S. military related topics. And we also shout out Ruben from Lilo and Stitch in honor of the release of the Lilo and Stitch movie in this episode, and much more things to come in the 61st episode of Moonlight Kingdom Podcast in 3, 2, 1. Evening all.
Good evening. How are you, man on the moon?
Good as can be. I had a question um, about that second part of, military wise, since you're like a bit. I'm
Sure, of course.
sorry. I'm sorry. I almost said. I know.
Okay, is this a serious
No,
question?
no,
You're
no. This
giggling too
is a
much.
serious question. I'm just like, I almost messed up. Because I almost said like a former veteran, and then I remembered, wait, that doesn't make sense. But okay, you're a veteran, and I wanted to ask because I was watching this documentary on Randy Orton, and he talked about how he was in the Marines, and he went AWOL, and the when he went AWOL, he went home. While he was at home, he thought like, okay, I'm only gonna be here a while, and then the army's gonna show up, and they're gonna come get me. But like the way he tells it, 2 months went by and nobody showed up, and he had to go and turn himself in. Like, is that what happens when somebody goes AWOL? Does the army just be like, well, he's gone?
Yes and no. Sometimes they'll look for you. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they don't realize you're gone. Uh, while I was serving, I only know of one person that went AWOL, and they were AWOL for 2.5 years, and then they randomly showed back up and were in all kinds of trouble. They got sent to prison.
Yeah, because that's desertion, if I remember correctly, right?
2 years though.
Yeah.
You'd have to imagine that that guy's probably muscle group. That guy's probably flatlined if he's missing for 2 years.
I would imagine so.
No, they're probably living their best life on military pay.
Probably.
Because if it didn't get through admin, they're still getting paid.
Yeah, but surely someone would notice that, like, Private Smith didn't come back with the rest of the troops, like, and he doesn't seem to be anywhere on base. Surely someone would notice and write down, like, this person's been missing for
Yeah,
like.
so more or less to answer your question, if it's during a wartime, you're absolutely gonna get caught. If it's not during wartime, they basically just wait until you make a mistake and then they catch you. Is the way I've seen understood it. But if you decide to like go AWOL so you don't deploy, yeah, they're gonna send someone to find you.
Right. So, so if it's like if you're still in like basic training or something, and you go AWOL, they'll go looking for you. But you said yes and no because like sometimes they don't even go looking. What would be the scenario
Well,
where it's
they
like,
don't try very hard.
oh,
Like they're gonna send people to like your most known. Like they're gonna send to like your hometown. They're gonna send to your house. But if you have a friend that say you got recruited in, I don't know, Florida, and you have a friend that lives in California, they're not gonna know to send people to look for you in California. But it seems like the majority of people that go AWOL, they either sooner or later they're gonna fuck up and they're gonna get caught. They're gonna go home for a visit. They're gonna be posting on social media. They're gonna do something and they're gonna get caught.
yeah, that's
Don't go AWOL. Do your time. You sign the papers. Do it.
yeah, that's essentially what happened. I mean, from the
Currently, our military is a volunteer service to sign up for it. You signed up for it. You do it.
yeah, it's not like the 70s where people got drafted. You would kind of understand if someone got drafted and they ran off, but like if nowadays you
Yeah, and
volunteered for
if
this,
they were if they
yeah,
didn't have a ton of money to get away with it, like a certain Cheeto, they got in trouble for that and thrown in jail. But we elect gold gold spoon idiots into office that are draft dodgers. So double standards for depending on what societal environment you are.
yeah, you
What is
would.
that called? The classes system.
Yeah, the disparity between classes. There were like I would hear stories. Well, there would be some cases of people dodging the draft back in the day. Like some people went to Canada, some went to South America. Like given that wars tend to last years, surely you'd have to like move there. Like you'd have to be living there because there's no way it's like, oh, I'm just gonna hide out for a week or so and then come back once.
No, if you were dodging, you found another country to live in for a while.
Yeah.
Either that or you really paid some people off. I don't know exactly how it worked for the rich and famous that got out of the military that dodged the draft, but like I don't agree with the draft system, but it was in place, so. Right, thank you for the heart me, and I'm so hungry. Where the hell did that milk or that gift come from?
Yeah, I saw that. She sent that like a minute ago. Always coming in clutch with the gift, old Rai Rai. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some very nice individuals that frequent my live, and even though they don't need to gift me, they do. Oh my God, 20! I am so hungry. Rye, go eat if you're that hungry. Go get some food.
Uh, yeah, just one more thing. I wanted to wonder, like, so yeah, the military is like a volunteer type situation. Like, they take people who volunteer for enlisting. Is there a kind of person that would volunteer that they would turn down?
Yeah, so there's still, like, you can get exemptions for certain things, but, like, myself, I had to get an exemption because I'm an asthmatic. Um, if I'd have known that I was intersex and that was on file before I went into the military, they would outright deny me. There's actually a thing where they don't take intersex individuals, but I didn't know I was intersex when I signed the paperwork. So that wasn't a thing. But if you have mental instability to a certain degree, if you are an asthmatic and you can't pass like your run times for your PT test at MEPS, these are all things that will get you denied. Now, if you're an asthmatic like myself, but still had a 9:40 2-mile run time, you can get an exemption and still get in.
So if it's like mentally you don't meet the requirements, they turn you down, and it's a mental and physical thing.
Yeah, so there's certain things like I mean I could look it up and I don't know if it's um changed at all, but like hold on. Now you're gonna make me look it up.
Lucia says something about a SAVAB. I mean ASVAB.
A number of factors can disqualify someone from military service, including mental conditions, criminal history, which I don't know if that one's true. I know a lot of people that with a criminal history that have joined, at least what I was in certain mental health issues. So medical, mental, and criminal history are typically what can do it. Chronic conditions like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain neurological disorders, and severe allergies can be disqualifying. Mental health issues, a history or current diagnosis of certain mental disorders, including anxiety, depression, eating disorders, substance abuse, can also lead to disqualification. These aren't mandatory disqualifications. Like I said, some of these can get exempted. So it's, yeah, if you do horrible on the ASVAB, they're going to say thank you, please come again. Or the Marines might take you. I mean, they like eating crayons. I'm sorry, I didn't say that out loud.
What? Okay.
Oh, I have so much respect for the Marines. Doesn't mean I'm not going to pick on them as an Army service member.
Hmm. Yeah, you get to pick where you go, or is it just like you'll go where we put you?
Um, yes and no. So, like I was talking about earlier, I'm not sure you were in here. I was originally signing up for the Air Force because my father was Air Force. So that's who I was going to go with. They originally wanted me to be a warrant officer because I scored in the top 0.1 percentile on the ASVAB. I did extremely well, and my PT test scores were high. But I watched Black Hawk Down like 2 days before I was signing the paperwork. And yeah, I didn't want to be a helicopter pilot as a warrant officer, so I said no. So then they said, "We'll pick these five jobs, and then if we have room, we'll put you in one of those. Otherwise, we'll pick for you." And I basically told a major to go fuck themselves. And they told me, "You can't talk to me like that." And I said, "Well, I'm a civilian, and you won't guarantee me a job, so I'll talk to you however the fuck I want." And I walked right on out. And the Army recruiter overheard this because their offices are all right next to each other, at least where I went. And he's like, "Well, we'll guarantee you a job. Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "Well, I want to do this and this." They're like, "Okay, we can do that for you." Um, so I made them put it in writing that I was going to get that exact job, and my first duty station was going to be one of three places because they couldn't guarantee a specific duty station. So I was guaranteed one of three places for a duty station in writing, and I was guaranteed the specific MOS that I wanted. So do they always do that? No. Can you work the system? Yes.
Hmm. That's that's eventful enlistment as I've ever seen. Definitely the second most interesting. Anywho, uh, you mentioned Black Hawk Down. I gotta wonder, like, from your experience in the military, what would you say in terms of like representation is like the best film? Like, you'd see it and say, yeah, you see their depiction of the armed forces, and you'd be like, yeah, that's about right.
That's actually a super difficult question. Like I think all of them are over the top or under the top. So either very comedical about it or so much from my experience, or so much so that they just don't make sense. Like Full Metal Jacket, to me makes zero sense because that was not my experience. Sure, there was a lot of yelling from drill sergeants, but there was also a level of compassion and understanding that, hey, we need to shape you to understand certain things. Um, so the way individuals were treated in like Full Metal Jacket is not something that I ever saw. But then again, I served during the time period I did. I can't say if maybe in the 70s or the 60s or the 50s if that's how they treated people. So I think time period is going to be a big indicator towards how accurate a movie could be. Sergeant Bilko, yeah. Um, the funny part is that even with the comedic part of it, yes, a lot of that wouldn't have gotten away with. But some of the stuff, like them all having a giant poker game in the room and, hiding it at the last second, yeah, that shit we absolutely fucking did. Um, when we weren't being, micromanaged, we would take our I forget, the ACU top off. We keep our brown shirts on and just take the ACU top off because it was 110 degrees. Um, but now, if someone was a higher rank individual was there watching us, we would have gotten in trouble for that. There were plenty of times I was outside without a beret or a cap on, just doing my job because I didn't feel like having a sweat stain around my entire head. It was disgusting. Um, and if somebody came by and I got caught, sure, I would be yelled at. But the funny part is I find Sergeant Bilko to be more accurate to my experience in the military. Is there's seriousness and there's playfulness within the military. It's I've always made the joke that the military, at least when I served, is almost an extension of high school. There's a clicky system to it. There's a way to be good. There's a way to be bad. There's, rules that you have to follow. It's kind of like adult high school. I don't know how better to put it. It's somewhere in between being college and being high school. And, it's kind of its own part of life. That's why you see videos of even individuals that are deployed, doing the whole Rihanna dance or doing a Lady Gaga dance or dressing up like military soldiers dressing up in drag. We see videos of this on TikTok. Like
Doing TikToks in their car.
I was gonna say people make the best of their situations, and as long as they're not breaking JAG rule, or what is it? JAG would not be the right one.
Isn't that like legal and
code of conduct?
Oh.
As long as they're not breaking code of conduct and the rules that would get them in trouble with JAG, there's no worry about it. As long as they are not showing political UCMJ, thank you. That was what I was looking. I was like
justice.
DOJ, no. I was like, yeah, Uniform Code of Military Justice. I was like, I'm going down all the ones that is not what I'm looking for. JAG. I was like, JAG technically gets involved. DOJ technically gets involved, but none of these are what I was looking for. So, Lucia, thank you so much. Uniform Code of Military Justice. That's absolutely the one I was looking for. But there's rules and stipulations in there, and most of the rules in there, which this is the really funny part, is so they have these fine rules written into pen, and then at like the end of a lot of them, they'll write, except if someone of high, and I'm paraphrasing, but except if someone of high rank has a problem with it, and then you listen to their direction. So there was rules and regulations for how both males and females wear their hair in the military. Which the funny one is technically males just had to have a tapered fade, with their hair couldn't be longer than 3 inches on top. And now that doesn't sound like a lot, but 3 inches of hair. We had male soldiers that they would grow it out to like exactly 3 inches and keep it like right there and get a haircut weekly just to maintain that, and they would gel it down so it never affected the wear and appearance of the headgear. And technically they're in the rules and regulations, but if their, say, first sergeant is like, no, fuck that, go get a haircut, by rules they have to go get a haircut. Air Force used the term bulk on top. I've heard that before. We didn't have that in the Army. I never heard that term in the Army, but I had a lot of Air Force friends because we had a whole Air Force platoon that was stationed on my post. And I used to go to the barber shop with them, and they would be like, yeah, just leave bulk on top.
I don't understand that. If you're in the Air Force, then what does it matter what haircut you got? You're mostly in a plane with a helmet on. I mean, yeah, as long as it's so big, it doesn't make it hard for you to put it on.
The Air Force is so much more than being in the air flying. Your bangs came to your nose. I love that.
That thing you mentioned about like bending the rules when it came to appearance, like that happened. You were right about the Army being a lot like high school. People in high school used to do that, like try to skirt their way around the rules. Because, yeah, there were very much rules, regulations, and like examples of what boys and girls' hair should be. Like, well, for instance, like the girls could have cornrows, but the dudes couldn't have cornrows. So in my last year, I decided to get slick back hair. And, there was this thing of like, hey, there was, teachers and stuff that were like, hey, I don't think this is appropriate. And you could always clap back with, but there's no rule that says I can't. There's a bunch of rules saying what hair I can have. But,
my favorite bullshit rule were all the men or technically they were boys because this was high school, could wear like tank tops, and there was no rule on the width of the strap that went over the shoulder. But God forbid a girl wore a
yeah, that's definitely something I'm not against the idea. I mean, if you're cool with no shirt, then hey, it is what it is. Because dudes
I
walk
mean,
around with no
that
shirt
may
all the
be
time.
because I've been to multiple different countries where they don't have that rule. Um, it's something that is very much here in the U.S. And I've been to multiple other countries that either it happens in, like, in a store, of course, they have a shirt on. Like, stores have their own rules, but walking around, you can see men or women with no shirts on, and especially beaches. Like, beaches are like, whatever.
In the US, you're bound to have somebody that's saying, like, think about the children. Or, like,
Oh
hey.
my god. They always use children as their scapegoat. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
And usually the ones screaming the loudest about think about the children are the ones that get arrested a week later for doing something to children. Which, by the way, we're up to 29. I've been keeping track of every single person that comes across my feed and keeping an annotation of individuals that have been outward about save the children and the LGBTQIA is bad and da 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 da, and they're a pastor or they're a Republican or they're they're always the ones speaking out, and then they get arrested for soliciting minors or work or trafficking or worse.
Have you noticed that pretty
We
much.
had a rule. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
We had a rule. Nothing faddish. What is fat? What did that? What does that mean? That could mean like one of a million things. Does that mean like you couldn't wear Converse if they were popular?
I was going to ask the same question, but I was waiting for you to finish up the conversation.
Like, that seems like such an arbitrary rule.
And very vague, too. Like,
oh, haircuts in the airforce. You couldn't have any of the popular fads for haircuts. That actually makes sense. We had that in the army, too.
So
Which
no rat
actually
tail?
really actually that rule affected women far more than it affected men, because it was so bad on one of my posts they wouldn't let women have layered haircuts, which makes no sense to me. Either your hair was all one length or it was no length at all. I was like, that makes no sense. Because you just had to keep it off your shoulders or up in a ponytail. There was no reason they couldn't have layered haircuts.
I mean, unless they did like really short layers and suddenly part of it wasn't going back into the ponytail.
Well, it doesn't have to go in the ponytail. So they have two options. It either has to be in a ponytail or it has to not touch your shoulders.
Oh, so they could just have a shorter haircut with short
layers. They just have a short haircut with layers in it. And I never understood why women couldn't do that.
So no pigtails?
No pigtails.
Well,
although
then.
we did have one man in my unit that had extremely long hair, but he was indigenous, and got a waiver that it was against his
culture.
I don't know if it would be classified as religion. Yeah, culture. Against his culture to cut his hair. So he had very long hair that was brought all the way up into like a super neat bun. I honestly, his hair, when it was out, because I went out drinking with him one time, his hair came down to like his ass. I don't know how he put that much time every morning to make sure his hair never moved, because they were looking for a reason to make him cut his hair. Like they want. Ooh, he had to toe a line because they did not like the fact he didn't cut his hair.
I wonder if people who worked in the barbershop in the military, when they're done with their time, they decide to open up a salon or something, with how focused they are about haircuts and hair length and all that.
My mom was a hairdresser for the Air Force, and then she worked hairdressing for another like 15 years afterwards.
So
I don't know if all of them do it, because honestly, half those barbers and hairdressers have no fucking clue what they were doing. Then again, the only time I used the barber was on the first day of basic training, and then I always used the hairdresser because barbers suck.
That's the thing. I've been wondering about that, because, yeah, the army and such have a barber that shaves all the dudes, but like, who does the women's hair? Is there someone there, or is it up to
Yeah,
each
they
person?
have hairdressers.
Oh,
We had a few women that just said fuck it because it was, you're crawling through mud and shit, even tied up. That was a lot of shit to get in your hair. We had a few women that just fucking opted for buzz cuts.
went full G.I. Jane, huh?
I was gonna say, if you've seen the movie G.I. Jane, absolutely.
I feel like I have an awkwardly shaped head that would just look really weird.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, well, think either awkwardly shaped head or bugs, ticks, and mud all messed in your hair after crawling through the mud in the rain for 3 hours.
I mean, I might go short. I just don't know if I'd do buzzed.
Yeah, and I mean, you have that option as long as it's not affect. The biggest rule was it can't affect your wear and appearance of your headgear, and it couldn't come down past the ear at a certain point. I think it had to be like a half an inch above the ear or something like that.
So, like rubyrose.
Yeah, Ruby Rose's hair probably would have worked. As long as it was slicked back and pulled up into the headgear, most likely would work fine.
Yeah, that works.
I think the funniest rule in the military was women could wear clear nail polish, like a nice clear coat, but men couldn't wear a clear coat.
Nail polish.
It was not okay for men to have a clear coat of nail polish, but women could.
It's weird, especially since it's a clear coat. It's not like they're doing like purple or neon pink or it's clear.
And what would happen if dudes were found with nail polish on?
They usually got in trouble. They were forced to remove it on the spot, and sometimes, if it was more than a first offense, they would get an Article 15.
I have some idea what that is, but please explain for the folks who may not know.
Super simply, extra duty. So you would work your normal shift, then you would work, depending on the Article 15 you had, you could get a 714, you could get a 1424, among many different ones. But basically, you would work extra hours of shifts, and if that went into your sleeping time, so be it. They didn't give a fuck. You were still expected to do everything your normal duty presented. That includes PT, doing your job, any extra duties that they thought you should do, and then also do your extra duty from your Article 15. You also typically lost some amount of your pay, whether 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of your pay for X period of days.
All this over nail polish?
Yes.
That's crazy. Just gonna throw that out there. That's crazy.
No, some of the rules and regulations of the military, and I get the whole uniformity thing, but some of the rules and regulations are very outdated, and the whole book needs to be re-gone through. And maybe they have since I've been in, but I highly doubt it.
Wow. What an ever interesting army that is, I'll say. Oh, you mentioned Sergeant Bilko, and there was a lot of similarity in your time in the military versus that film in many aspects. I must ask about that hover tank that shows up in the third act. Is that a real thing, or is that just like Hollywood bullshit?
So there's something similar, but it never came to fruition. They were working on something that worked similar, but I'm not knowledgeable. I think it's the Abram is the correct name. The Abram just still outperformed it. The technology just wasn't there. Now there's a lot of things that in a couple of years I can talk about that are still classified to this day that I'm not allowed to talk about. That I haven't seen show up. A couple of them have shown up. But there's a lot of things that the military works on that just never come to light. But yeah, I'm still under a do not talk about this shit you had access to classified documents and don't fucking bring it up. Still under that, which is one of the reasons I don't give my age on like social media for the most part, is because if you can trace my age, you can trace about when I served, and then you can start asking questions, and I don't want to slip up. It's just like a safety thing for me.
Yeah.
Who's throwing kitties at me? I'm not a damn cat.
I threw them at you. I always throw kitties with hearts on them. It's your daily dose of kitties.
I can't get mad at you. You're one of my biggest gifters.
Was that a
If you get
hamster?
mad, I'll just send more gifts, so it's fine.
If I get mad, you'll send more gifts? Fine, I'm furious. I sound furious, right?
Hold on.
No!
You turned the camera on earlier in the live stream, and there was what appeared to be a hamster in the thing.
You want to
What
see
the-
my? Do you want to see my? He got a whole new cage. He has a whole new setup.
Sure, I would love to see it. Right, thank you so much for the TikTok live.
Hold on.
That was
Pause
cute.
on,
I've never seen the balloons.
pause on the anger gifts. Just a sec.
That seems nice. What's your
Are
favorite
you
dinosaur?
throwing up your dwarf hamster? I'll throw you on big screen.
Oop. Oh goodness! I don't know if I like being on big screen. Oh, he's hiding again.
I love the fact
Where'd he
that he has
go?
a mushroom fortress.
Oh
Yeah,
shit, he
he's also
escaped.
He's got a really, really nice, like, there's his wheel that he flies off of every time he tries to use it. He didn't
It's his water thing. Oh, that's so cute.
I'm moving it out of his way for right now. Dude.
You know, everybody's busy, and I'm the medically retired one that this is my job.
You mentioned a
so what I
riding
am gonna-
mower. I have to ask, how big is your lawn that you need a mower that you can sit on?
I think my parents' lawn is half an acre.
Whoa. That's their house is not that big.
Yeah, we have an acre lot where I am.
But anywho, amidst this subject of lawns, I'm gonna check out as
I
well.
would have to ask. Honestly, I'm very bad at lawn size. I would have to ask. I'm sure my father knows what the size of the lawn is. It's about 5 times the size of the lawn that I had when I had my own house. It's a pretty big fucking lawn.
Before I leave, I must ask the people in this live right now, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Does it have to be real, or can it be from the Jurassic Park series?
Sure, they technically count as dinosaurs too.
I was going to say mine's the indoraptor, because I'm obsessed with raptors.
The one that opens doors.
Yes, the very smart ones. It's why specifically I had my artist get my tail to do this. We worked for an extra 8 hours on this model, just because I wanted the tail to specifically be able to wave around like this.
Okay. Personally, I was partial to the Spinosaurus. I used to like the Velociraptor, but there's just something about that Spinosaurus that just like, yeah.
Spinosaurus is a really cool dinosaur. It was just very misrepresented in the Jurassic Park series.
Which one is the Spinosaurus?
Spinosaurus is the carnivore with the fin on its back that was labeled as an apex predator in the Jurassic Park movie 3. But it is thought, under current science, it is thought to be more of a river dweller and shallow ocean diver for fish. It's seen basically as the apex version of not Brachiosaurus. What is the name of it? Raina, help. What? Water alligator that walks on 2 legs.
Yeah, I fuck with that. In a way, the same way I fuck with what's his name, 625 from Lilo and Stitch, because you had all these experiments that like,
sandwiches.
yes, exactly. You had all these experiments that threw fire and froze people and turned people evil with singing, and my man just wanted to make sandwiches and chill. I seriously fuck with that guy.
You know that was the power. Like, that's exactly what Jumba designed him to do.
Yeah,
make sandwiches.
exactly. My man just wanted to make sandwiches and relax. He didn't want to be evil or nothing. I respect that.
Okay, can I say something problematic?
Okay.
Gantu walked so that Gang Orca could run. From Boku no Hero.
Well,
No.
Demi, I guess you're not the only one who feels awkward when they drop references here. Like, well, that was.
Stegosaurus, that's like another good dinosaur. Reina, what's yours?
Plesiosaur. Always will
Maggie,
be.
thank you for the corgi.
It was an angry gift I promised you. Oh, an angry
Corgis aren't
gift?
angry though. It was too cute.
I think I don't know the name of the dinosaur that I really like. It looks like an oversized turtle with spikes on its back. It has it's like a little mini tank. It's got a shell on its back and it's all the spikes. I don't remember what it's called though.
Ankylosaurus? It's the cousin of the Ankylosaurus, right?
I think so. But you know what I'm talking about. It walks on 4 legs and it's got a huge shell on its back. It looks like a little, well, it's not little, but a big
an Ankylosaurus, except it's all spiky. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
That one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Dinosaurs, the next viral children's cartoon.
Oh, I found the name of it. The Carposutras.
That is very close to something we shouldn't say.
Sorry, Caprosuchus.
That's a good book, though, from what I've heard.
I had
that.
Go ahead, Demi.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say I had an ex named Corey back in the day, and he was really proud of himself because there was a dinosaur named the Coriosaurus.
Wouldn't you be?
I don't know.
Alrighty, before I get distracted with dinosaurs, because I know I will. Alright, everyone, so this is going to be the end of the live. If you are not following me on Twitch, please go follow me on Twitch. It will be announced in my Discord. It should be announced. I set it up last night that I go live on Twitch. Even if you just want to hang out and show some support, I would appreciate it. I need to start having 3, 5, 10 people sitting in the live, even if you do nothing but sit there. It really does help me out on Twitch. So if you could come by when I go live on Twitch tonight and hang out for a little bit, I would absolutely appreciate it. If you don't know my Twitch, it's the same username. It's also in my bio. It's Glitched Reality. So twitch.tv/glitched reality. I would really appreciate it. We've had nighted. With that, I'm going to give my panelists a couple of minutes to talk themselves out of here. Thank you. We hit that 20K. Let's go. I'm going to give you each 2 minutes to talk yourself out of here, and then I'm going to go see if I can mow the lawn for my father and be a good daughter.
Silence. I guess I'll start. Hi and bye. What time are you going live tonight on Twitch?
So I was going to go live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but depending on if my dad wants help with the lawn, it will probably be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. We should just keep going back and forth with the throw things.
No! Although I do owe Maggie I made a new command because the donations through Cash App and PayPal don't throw things at me yet. I'm working on.
And you have to wait 30 seconds between throws. You can't just repetitively throw things.
But I did make a command that when I get a donation, it mass throws at me. And depending on how big the donation is, I might make a couple of them, so that it replicates how much is being donated.
These are things you should not be telling Raina and I. Oh.
Now that is just eerie.
So mine aren't up. I can't update for some reason, or I can't see them for some reason. So I see like 5,600, 3,797, 2,585, 2,800, or 2,060, something like that. 1,793. Yeah, I can see the 666. I gotta like put my face into the fucking monitor to see them.
I did that on accident when we were boosting your likes.
All right. Talk yourself out of here. Get off my panel. I love you all.
All right, I'm talking myself out by disconnecting. Bye.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
Bye, Man on the Moon. Thanks for coming up.
Street light flickers, shadows dance. Reel to reel spinning, lost in a trance. Neon nights where stories ignite. The 80s magic fills the sky bright. Blockbuster dreams on silver screens. Heroes and journeys wild in between. Tall tales told, bold colors that gleam. Fantasies built on an endless dream. Popcorn air, sunsets on the bay. Dial tones hum as the VHS plays. Tape rewind, frames stick in my brain. Freeze frame forever, old movies remain. Blockbuster dreams on silver screens. Heroes and journeys wild in between. Tall tales told, bold colors that gleam. Fantasies built on an endless dream. We run to adventures, feel the thrill. Synth-line heartbeats, moments that kill. Catch your breath at the edge of the sea. 80s magic, a rhythm that repeats. Blockbuster dreams on silver screens. Heroes and journeys wild in between. Tall tales told, bold colors that gleam. Fantasies built on an endless dream. We run to adventures, feel the thrill. Synth-line heartbeats, moments that kill. Catch your breath at the edge of the sea. 80s magic, a rhythm that repeats.